Wealthy Author Podcast, episode number 34, From Hustling to Businesswoman, Using a Book with Shannon Anderson. Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Author Podcast. I am your host, D. Orlando Fortune, and this is a show about business and authors. With the growing demand for information, entrepreneurs must learn how to turn their ideas into words on a page that bring in cash and share a unique message. This podcast brings you the strategies, tips, and bars to do just that and do it well using a book. If you hate making unnecessary mistakes, then you must watch the free training I prepared for you at thoughtfortunepress.com/mini class. As the name implies, it's a training. I don't ask you for a dime. It's straight up content. And if you like what you hear, I give you a chance to jump on a call with me or one of my team. Easy peasy, no muss, no fuss. You don't want to miss this mini class if you actually want to make money with your book. Go to thoughtfortunepress.com/mini class and learn how to avoid the 9 mistakes beginning authors make and how to write a money-making branded book without being a great writer or wasting your time waiting for a publishing deal. Again, that's thoughtfortunepress.com/mini class. MINICLASS. So in today's episode, we are speaking with author and consultant / book coach, Shannon Anderson. Speaker, gotta throw that in there also. And today's episode is awesome for the fact of we get to learn a little more about not only someone that has a powerful story, but because you're going to learn more about specifically how to help publish better books and how to get your book promoted from someone who actually helps other people get published, right? So there's some 4 key things that I'm pulling out of here from phrases that I want to highlight verbatim from Shannon. The first one here is find the light in the story. And this, again, going to find out what it means to see that even though you've gone through some things, and we've all gone through some things, that there's some silver lining, if you will, that helps you to overcome that situation. And that sharing that silver lining as well as the drama and story that you went through will help someone else to see the silver lining in their story as they're going through the drama. Okay. Or as they come out of it and they have not found that silver lining, because you're able to find it and help them see that through your story, they will find the light in their story. Second thing here is that your story will create lanes for you. You'll hear multiple times in today's episode how Shannon sharing her story attracted certain types of people to her. And those people are what she calls her ministry. These are the people that she's going to be helping to get their stories out in whatever way it is. Some of them are paid. Some of them she's helping that are not going to, they're paying her. You'll find out what that looks like as you listen to this interview. But realize that whatever you're writing about, how you're writing your story is going to attract a certain type of people to you. And you must write the story appropriately and write it with a certain tone. As you would touch upon that idea of tone of your book and the theme of your book in this episode. So pay attention to that, because it's going to your story will create lanes for you. You need to know what lane you're going to be creating in so you can tell the story appropriately. Next, the third thing here, hustling and business are 2 different things. You're going to hear from Shannon how she was constantly going out and making money since she was in her early teens, and the different places that she went and the different strategies and you just got to find out what she does in her hustling days. But then realizing that just because she could hustle and make money doesn't mean you're going to be a great business. Okay. You go hustle and go make money, but your business principles and understanding how to grow a business, a legitimate business, are 2 different things. And you have to realize the differences between the 2. You still need to hustle in your business. In the beginning, in certain points in your business, you may need to do some hustling, but in order to build a business, you need to create some other pieces around the hustling to support the hustling, to lessen the hustling that you have to do. Okay. So listen for what those ideas are. And finally here, the people are much more interested in the end than the beginning. And the idea here is that Shannon, because she's been through so many things in her life, that people see where she is right now and they don't know all the things that she's been through in her life. So they may not realize that she hasn't always been in a position where she is now. But she also remind her that she can relate to people who are going through the mess right now, trying to figure out what the message is or try to get to their success. But people are still more interested in where you are right now, the successes that you have. But do not lose sight of the beginning. So we'll touch more on that. You'll hear how Shannon does this in her social media posts, how she uses it in her book, and how she leveraged the book to help people see what they can do for themselves. So enough with the introduction. Let's go ahead and get into today's interview. Oh man, look, I am so excited. I love having other authors who help other authors on the show, partly because I get to learn a little more, but partly because they're in my industry and I'm not hating on nobody out here that wants to help people get books, because you know what I say, you're only one book away. And we have another phenomenal entrepreneur, author on today's episode. I'm so excited to speak with Shannon about her story, about her business, and how she helps help entrepreneurs to bring their books out into the world. But before we get started, Shannon, I'm going ahead and read your bio, and then we're going to jump right into this, because I know you got babies and kids and all that type of stuff. They're going to be bothering you like mine do. So let's go ahead and jump into your bio. See, Shannon is no stranger to struggle. Shannon unapologetically shares her inspiring story and encourages others to do the same. An empowerment powerhouse that is sure to hold the attention of any audience and inspire them like no other. Shannon published her best-selling book and recently spearheaded another Amazon bestseller co-author project, Broken But Not Forgotten, with some other amazing ladies. Shannon is now the owner of Love and Live Your Message, an organization that teaches others how to write and publish their story, craft their message, and stand out from the crowd. Shannon is a catalyst for change and loves teaching others to love and live their message while building and or creating their platform. Shannon is not looking to slow down anytime soon. She has recently turned her book into a film and is looking to share her gifts and talents on a broader stage. She has spent her first 30 years of her life making excuses for why she wasn't happy. Today, she's walking in purpose and destiny, and so can you. Shannon Anderson, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much for having me, Fortune. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shannon, is there anything else you want to add to your bio? Kids, dogs, pets, fish?
Oh my gosh, kids. Well, I have 3 children. My oldest is 24. She's a student at Columbus State. My son is almost 20, and he is a student studying to be an airplane mechanic. And then I have my baby girl who is 14. So yeah, you have all my 3 babies.
Excellent, excellent. You said the last one was studying to be what kind of mechanic?
Well, my son is studying to be an airplane mechanic, so he's in school for that. And he's my middle child. And then I have my baby girl who's 14.
Okay. Excellent, 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 excellent. Love that. Wow. So she's gonna have you all to herself. She's just gonna be so excited for about 2 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, we're making it happen. It's different, but we're making it happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. So absolutely love that. Love that. So let's get into your the first question here. Very, very simple. Just throw a little softball at you. What are you reading now?
Well, currently I'm reading Show Up for Your Life, ironically, by Andy Enriquez.
You got that.
So so I'm reading that book. Meeting Andy was definitely a life-changing experience, and he's a wonderful guy. So shouts out to Andy Enriquez.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and while we're on the subject of Andy, that is actually where we met down in Florida, learning how to tell better stories. Matter of fact, let me not downplay what happened. Getting my and your master storytellers accreditation. Did I say that word
Yeah,
right?
designation. Designation.
Designation. There we go. Designation. Like, I try to sound all formal and stuff. Accreditation.
Accreditation. I have a degree in master storytelling.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Yes, Master Storytellers Academy. That was a phenomenal event. And I want to talk about that a little more, not necessarily about the Master Storytellers Academy, because I'll have Andy on here for his own episode. But I mean,
Hmm.
from the aspect of telling your story, and this is where
Right.
this is going to lead us right into our first question. You talk about the importance of being able to tell your story, and I think there was something that happened with an accident or something that happened, and you needed to tell that story. You want to tell us a little more about what happened there? What got you writing that first story?
Well, the thing that got me actually writing my book was, yes, definitely the tragic car accident. It was, well, I was riding in the car with my manager and my son actually, and a car swerved in front of us. And before you know it, we were flipping across the expressway.
Mhm.
Long story short, my manager was ejected and he passed away.
Mm,
So, you know, that was a situation to where I thought I was going to die. I wasn't sure if my son was going to die. He
mhm,
had flipped out of his seatbelt and was unconscious and landed pretty much in the front seat. So if
mm,
we had flipped one more time, my son would have definitely gone through the windshield. And so, when I went to my manager and I saw him laying on the ground because we couldn't find him for several minutes. And then a guy yelled to me and told me he had found him. And so I ran and everything slowed down like the Matrix. And then I got to him and, he was taking his last breaths. And so I was able to speak with him. I was able to pray with him, pray for him. And just it was just so surreal. Like we were just riding down the street having a regular conversation like you do with anybody else with any other day, right? And then
mhm,
all of a sudden the car swerves in front of you and completely changes your life. The person that you were talking to 5 minutes ago is taking their last breath. And your brain can't even process that type of stuff, and every time that we flipped in the car, I thought I was going to die because we were basically nose diving, and I could see, like how you're in a roller coaster and you see the ground like coming towards you.
mhm.
So every time we flip, I said, this is it, this is it. And I just held my breath. And then I just got the notion, and people think this is absolutely insane, but I had no fear when I thought that I was going to die. And what people don't realize is when you're facing death, everything slows down. So everything around me was speeding up. The car, swerving and all the actions that were going on was speeding up. But my mind was slowed down. And so I was able to calculate. I knew exactly how many times we flipped. I could see the concrete every time that, the truck was coming down. I was trying to calculate where my son was because he was the only person I could even think about. I wasn't even thinking about myself. I had already made preparations to go, but was asking for God to spare his life, especially because he was only 14. And
Mhm.
then I just got this notion and I said, no, I will not die. Like literally within those few seconds, you were able to process all that. I said, no, I will not die today. I will not die with my son in this car. And I started praying and I started speaking in the name of Jesus, praying in tongues. And ironically, the truck stopped and landed on all four tires. None of the windows were burst out or anything. And for a while, people couldn't figure out how he even got out of the truck because the truck
Yeah.
was on four tires, right? So what we realized was that the door had to fly open
Yeah. It flew
and
open
suck
and
him
closed
out.
back in. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. And he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Now, mind you, he had let me borrow this truck a few weeks prior. And my mother and his mother kept telling him, you need to get that driver's seatbelt fixed. And he would always be like, oh, I'm gonna get it fixed. I'm gonna get it fixed. And then I would be like, you need to get that seatbelt fixed because, we don't like driving the truck without a seatbelt. So ironically, because I was having car issues, he let me drive it for a few weeks. And then ironically, the minute that he got the truck back is when he passed away from not fixing the seatbelt. Isn't it crazy?
Man.
Like we had been driving that truck for weeks and my daughter had just been driving it like an hour before the accident. And
Mhm.
ironically, when he got back in the driver's seat, he passed away because he did not fix the seatbelt. And it was just so much going on with that situation. And even when we were in the hospital, the emergency people, the doctors and nurses, they kept saying, "Are you sure you were in that same car accident with him? Are you absolutely
Mm-hmm.
sure? You're
Mm-hmm.
not delirious?" And I was like, "No," because I had no scratches. My son had no scratches, like nothing. Like we literally walked away and every organ in his body was crushed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went through this phase of like, a deep depression. I was trying to find out what that all meant. People kept saying God spared your life because you had more work to do. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is the work? What is
Right.
the work?
Right.
Yeah. And so I went through feeling very guilty. I didn't know why he had to die and why. And not only, and I wasn't saying it to be ungrateful, but it was just like, hey, even when I walked up to his coffin and I was completely no bones broken, no wheelchair, I just felt guilty, and I even felt like his family even felt some type of way, like, dang, God, you could at least, broke her leg or something, like you know what I'm saying?
Something to
Like,
remember it by. Yeah.
yeah, or something to make me feel better about, losing my son. And here this woman is looking great, and here's my son in the casket. And I really feel like they blamed me for his death too. And
Mm.
that was a whole other situation because I called him in the middle of the night to come and pick me up from a situation that I had gotten into. So he was basically coming to my rescue like he always came to my rescue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it was a lot of guilt with that situation. But what did come out of it was me standing up and saying, you know what, I'm going to stop playing with my life. I'm going to start doing the things that God has called me to do because we've been having these conversations for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when I decided to release the book, Stripper to Striver, which tells my story of how I went from stripping to striving and from sliding down poles to healing souls. So that's how you have it.
Excellent. No. See, you're telling your story, and I put myself in like, oh, I had that. Oh, I know what that's like. I know I like this like, and I wanted to ask you that question about how, um, the effect of you still being here. Because I remember when I was run over by a truck, and
Mm,
like you said, like everything is saying, like unless you've been there, people are not going to believe that
they're
things slow
not.
down. And that's if you're
Yeah.
not. That's not if. And I don't know if that's some type of certain type of people or that is used to stressful situations. They can do that and focus. And other people we
Yeah.
just go frantic and everything's gone. But when
Yeah.
that truck
Yeah.
started coming at me and I looked and I noticed it, when I saw it, my split second, I relaxed and I caught
Mm,
the truck and I stayed onto the back of the truck. It was the back of the truck. And I caught it with my arms open and I slid all the way down this hill on my feet with the truck. So I'm cool all the way down the hill. And I get to the
mm,
sidewalk and lose my balance. And that's when I don't remember anything. Because when I hit the ground, boom, head hit the back of the ground. My last thing I remember is my leg coming up to my face. That's it.
wow.
And similar to your story, because this happened in my driveway. So
Oh.
the truck went
Hmm.
over me and then it went back over me and stopped in my driveway. Like
Mm,
my house is on a hill. So somehow it rolled over me and back over me. And for some reason, it stopped in the driveway on the hill. Now, there's nobody in this car. It had popped out of gear by itself.
oh,
And
wow.
so, like, I don't know how all any of that happened.
Oh, my
Um,
gosh.
but, something happened in the hospital is another gentleman that came in there. He was happened to be in there, and I knew him from high school. He was on my good friend's younger brother. He ended up dying from cancer,
Mm.
right? And he
Oh.
came to visit me while I was in. I don't know how he knew I was in there, but he came to visit me while I was in there, and he was in his treatments or whatnot. And I always thought to myself, for a while, I thought to myself, why am I still here? And you take that good brother who was a family man, doing all the things he's supposed to, being a good, righteous, good man, right? And here I
Hmm.
was, this happened to me after me being in rehab. I wasn't even completely clean yet. I was still working on getting clean from all the crimes, other crimes and
Mm.
stuff I've been doing. Why am I here? And
Hmm.
you take that good man away.
Yeah.
And I think,
Uh-huh.
in retrospect, maybe something to you, you may have had a similar idea. conclusion, I should say, is that that person being there for that glimpse of the life was that little spark that we needed to say, it's time to change. It's time to
Mm-hmm.
shift. And for us, our story is going to make that much bigger of an impact than other people. I don't know. I try to look for
Yeah.
that positive in there.
Right. Yeah. That's the only way you could even survive, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because you go into survival mode because you have this guilt and you're trying to figure it out, and it's like, all right, because I only knew him for 4 months, and I was
Mm.
the one that had to call his mother and tell him because they couldn't find his next of kin or anything, and
Wow.
I had to be the one to break the news. And I was like, I don't even know this man well enough to
Mm.
be calling his mother to tell her that he's dead,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she even told me, well, his brother hung up on me because he thought it was a prank.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, you just sounded so not non-emotional about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact.
Yeah, very matter of fact about it. And until you've been in that situation, you are completely traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
This had just happened like hours before. Like
Mm-hmm.
your brain can't even process that stuff that fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you just kind of get numb, and your body automatically goes into this survival mode, and
Mm-hmm.
you do try to find the point that I'm making is you do try to find the light in the story, because if you don't, you will be depressed, you will be on drugs, you will drink and probably blow your brains out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you can't find the silver lining in the story. So yeah, I know
Love it.
exactly what you mean. Yeah, you have to find a silver lining, because if not, you would not be able to cope
Excellent.
at
Love it.
all.
Love it. So now you write the first book. Um,
Hmm.
about changing the life from stripping and moving into, which is a whole nother story, but moving into you write the book and why did you want to write this book? So matter of fact, before we go into why you wanted to write this book, briefly tell us. Tell the family about your business, and of course,
Hmm.
more importantly, why you do what you do.
Well, I help people write and publish books. So I help people write and publish their stories. And one of the reasons why I took the class with Andy is because I wanted to help other people and myself craft better stories and
Hmm.
messages. So
Absolutely.
I like to work with transformational authors, which means authors who are looking to make a difference in the world.
Mm.
And so it's very important that they know how to take their story and craft it to where it can really move and touch people. And so
Bars. Hmm. We're gonna come back to
right,
that. We come back to that. Yes. Hmm.
yeah, so being able to help them not only just write their story, but actually write it in a way that people relate to it and can connect to it, and where they can go out in the world and deliver the message, of hope, of healing, inspiration, or whatever it is.
Hmm. So
So
why choose books? Why not say I'm gonna help become a better speaker or become coach help people become coaches or whatever? Why choose help people become authors?
well, because when I wrote my book, people kept
Hmm.
coming to me and asking me, how did you do it? It just
Mm.
kind of presented itself.
Hmm.
But I am seeking to expand it,
Hmm.
because being able to take the book and actually turn it into speaking engagements,
Yep.
being able to take the book and actually start the coaching business.
Yep.
So I still help authors do all of that, but it's still, the book is still a very important part of the process. So.
Yes, absolutely. Now back to and we're gonna come back. We're gonna be. I'm opening up all kinds of loops. We're gonna close up. we
I know.
But back to this idea. So you wrote the book, and people are starting to ask you questions about how did you write the book. You decide you're going to help
Mhm.
them write their own books, but you said not just any types of books, because as we go in, we have all these genres of book: business books, love books, relationship books. But you said you want to help them write transformational books. What is a
Mhm.
transformational book?
A transformational book. Well, I like working with transformational authors. So,
Mhm.
a transformational author is a
Mm.
different type of species,
Okay. Yep. Yep.
right?
Break it down. Break
So
it
we're
down.
right. So we're not talking about people that's just like, all right, I'm gonna, write this book and put it out so I can say I have a book and book more speaking engagements.
Okay.
And that's nothing wrong with that. I'm
Hmm.
not saying anything because that's
No, you
fine.
got it. You broke it
But
down.
yeah, so the type of authors that I work with are like me. I'm not money motivated, so money doesn't move me.
Hmm.
What moves me is purpose.
Hmm.
So if I do anything, it has to be grounded in purpose, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So people that I work with, have the same mentality. So if I'm going to deliver my message and y'all got me crying up here with Kleenex, I'm gonna need somebody's lives to be transformed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna, if I'm, even though I've done the healing work, you still get touched by your own story sometimes. And I'm even, tearing up now, but you still get touched by your own story. So to be able to have to tell it over and over and over
Yeah.
again,
Hmm.
right? I want to make sure that people are feeling inspired and hopeful and saying, you know what, if she can get through all of that, then I can too. If she can do this, then I can do it too. If she can write a book, then I can write a book too. If she can start a coaching business from her book, then I can do that too.
Hmm.
And, it's really to have a movement with the book. So it's not just saying that you're
Uh-huh.
an author,
Hmm.
creating some type of movement to where you're actually moving people. So
Excellent.
that's what transformational authors are.
Okay, so the transformation author is one that not only is creating this movement within their writing or within their message, but they're also
Hmm.
creating this change of inspiration and motivation inside someone.
Yes,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
love that.
Hmm.
I absolutely love that because those are my favorite books, and part of that is because they work. you know,
Yeah, they
when
were
they're done
right. And
well,
then
they're
that
done
describes who
well.
you are too. You're
Mhm.
the same. You are a transformational person too. I don't know if you
Mhm.
noticed that, but
Yeah, and you know what? It's the story. God
yeah.
put some certain things in our life, and it's like
Hmm.
as you've heard me say in my presentation, I had to stop taking God's glory, which means
Yeah,
I got to start telling His story or history,
that's
however you
right.
want to call it,
Hmm.
in order
Yeah,
for that
right.
to happen, and then let that spirit of get ignited inside of you and let it do its thing. I can't do no more, but stoke the fire, start the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But if you come over here, let's get this book done. Right?
Right. Right.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. Okay, so people are coming to you, and um, you've been putting this book out there. So you said you started writing. You got the book, and you started doing some speaking, and then people are coming up to you after the speaking engagements, right? Correct.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
were you already speaking before you started, before you wrote the book, or did this come out of the book like it kind of birthed a whole new business, a side
No,
business?
the book birthed a whole new business because, mind you, I told you I went from stripping.
Yeah, yep.
So when I tell you a complete shift and change in my life. So I wasn't dancing at the time of the car accident, but I was in the music industry. So the guy who died was my manager in the music industry. And
Mm.
so I was still completely out of alignment. I was still completely working out of purpose. And
A little push. You're gonna give you that last little push.
yeah, right. And so ironically, I had just dropped the music video March 23rd,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
2015. It had over 5,000 views in less than 24 hours. Everybody expected for it to be a smash. This was my big break.
Mm-hmm.
And the car accident happened March 24th, the day
Mm.
after.
Mm. Mm.
Right. So dreams crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, are you coming in to do the interview? Are you still going on a promo tour? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
didn't I just tell you what happened? Like, you can't pay me to step into a studio again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I said, because even though I could have made it and even though I could have made a lot of money, if I had died that day, where would I have gone? You get what I'm saying? I knew,
Ooh.
right. And so at the end of the day, where I spend eternity matters so much more than what's here. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know where all this is coming from, but where I spend eternity is much more important, right? And so you really start when you face death, you really, really get a grip on that. And I was like, you can't pay me to come into another studio. I was a rapper. And it's like, you can't pay me to do that Lil Kim song ever again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was a completely changed woman. And people were just like, what in the world? And so soon after that, now mind you, my fan base was still following me and they knew me as a female rapper, right? So now all of a sudden I'm coming out with this book and I'm like speaking the word of God and they're like, what
You did a
happened?
full, that's a full 180. I mean, you turn straight left and then all the way left again.
All the way left again, right? So when you say, were you speaking this stuff before? No, I was a rapper before, like, and so once I released the book, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you've been through this and that and that. And how can I tell my story? How can I write my story? So that's how the coaching started. So no, I was not doing anything in this realm before I released my book.
Okay, so now you're speaking. What are you speaking on when you start speaking? Are you going and telling your story?
Yeah.
What are you speaking on? And for people that
Everything is
are
about,
asking you.
Oh, everything is about my story. Everything. So I was just telling my story. Because in my book, I don't really go into a whole lot of detail about coaching or anything like that because I hadn't necessarily found that yet,
Right.
And so I was just really telling my story. And that's why I tell people your story is so powerful within itself. It will create lanes for you. And right, and so I would be at different locations and people would just be like, I thought that people were going to come to me more for like life coaching. So I had got a certification in life coaching, but people were coming to me more asking me how they could write a book. And I was just like, what? So it wasn't even anything that I expected.
Okay. On that point, have you found when you're coaching people in the books and getting them producing the books that you're still doing an element of life coaching is still in there? Not just the skills on having to ask the right question, draw people out, build the confidence, but just like your life coaching in there still.
Oh, absolutely. Because in order to work with transformational authors, there has to be a certain level of healing that they have to go through, because most people don't realize before they start writing the book that they have not done the healing work.
Yep. Speak on that.
To even produce the book that they're looking to produce, right? So I'll even talk about my co-author project that I did. We released the book in October, Broken But Not Forgotten. So it talks about women who have been broken, but they know that they have not been forgotten by God, right? So one of the ladies in particular, her name is Brianna, and she was like, oh my gosh, Shannon, before I started writing this book, I wrote this book in order to heal others. She said, but by the time that we published the book, I had healed myself. And she said, I finally was able to get in touch with a 7-year-old little girl who had been abused and who had been abandoned. And I was able to go back and heal her. And what most people don't realize is that most of our brokenness comes from childhood. And the minute that we face the first set of trauma in our lives, we stop growing. So some of us are still 4 years old emotionally or spiritually. You get what I'm saying? So that's how you have so many adults out here that don't know what to do. It's because they've been broken at such an early age to where they have not grown spiritually. And so you're still talking to a 40-year-old man, yes, physically, but spiritually, he's 6 years old. Right? So, just going through that process and really kind of breaking that down to the ladies. There was another lady who wrote with us. She has HIV, and another lady was talking about domestic abuse, and there's another lady who's deaf. Like, I'm like, if I can help a deaf person write a book, and she talks about, seriously, but she had an amazing story. And I said, you are so powerful because you're deaf. it makes it so much more powerful. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, she had faced a situation where, she was discriminated against. The state took her kids and, just did
Wow.
her badly because she was poor and deaf. So now she's an advocate and she's speaking out for other people. And it's like, wow, it's just amazing how this work can be so transformational, and that's why I don't take it lightly. I think it's very important. So yes, the life coaching still comes into play, even when I'm helping people write books. Absolutely.
Love that. Love it. And that speaks to another question I typically ask is, what did you learn during that writing process? And what I kind of heard here was that, and when I ask the question, it's not necessarily about how to write better books or how to write stories better, things of that nature, but it's like, what did you learn about life, about yourself or whatnot from the books? And that's what I heard from my perspective just now, was like, these transformational authors are having transformations by being authors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Oh,
like,
wow. Bars.
I had to sit my own self back on that one. Like, wait a minute, did I say that?
Yeah, because my book was transformation for me. And that's why I can't see it any other way. I know people like, can you help me write this book? And I am a publisher too. So I will help people publish children's books and stuff like that. But as far as like working with you, coaching with you, I prefer transformational authors, because that's the only way I really know how to write and get through the process.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I know exactly what you mean. I have a children's book. She's 13, but she wrote a book here when she's about 11, and it should be coming out here soon. Like, it's in the final stages, we getting our proofs back. But that's not what I do. It was for a friend, but I just know the other side, how to get these things together. So we did it. Took way longer than I wanted it to take, but it's a children's book. Illustration is a lot longer. Anyway.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a whole different beast. Oh my gosh.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're about halfway through today's show, and I definitely want to give you a quick word from our sponsor before finishing the interview. Today's show is sponsored by Thought Fortune Press. You probably know that if you're not an authority in your industry, nobody's hearing your message. And you may know that the number one way to build your authority is by authoring a book. What you probably don't know is that you can write the manuscript for your book in less than 4 hours. I'm D. Arlando Fortune, the lead self-publishing strategist for Thought Fortune Press, where we turn your ideas into a branded book that brings in the cash by sharing your unique message and positioning you as an authority in your industry. If you're an entrepreneur or a speaker who's thinking about already writing or want to publish your next book, but you don't want to write it, or you just want to get help getting it done, your first step is a Wealthy Author Roadmap. This is a call to help us get to the heart of what you do for your customers. Together, we'll determine how a book will help you establish more credibility in your customers' minds and make a bigger impact in their lives, while also, of course, increasing your revenues. During the call, we'll walk you through designing your book's outline and its content and create a publishing timeline that fits your goals, even if that means getting it done in as little as 90 days. What makes us different is that we know a book is only the first step into your world. Not only do we help you write the book, but we work with you on creating a signature suite of products, all from your book's one outline. We do all of this using the 5 phases of our proprietary system, the Signature Book Formula. To get started on your personalized Wealthy Author Roadmap, go to thoughtfortunepress.com and click the gold Start Here button at the top of the page. Now remember, you're only one book away. So let us at Thought Fortune Press guide you to becoming an author. Go to thoughtfortunepress.com today. Okay, so let's get back to the tips from this interview, and make sure, man, y'all stay tuned. This has been powerful, has it not? We're just halfway through it, and you're gonna hear Shannon's going to start turning it up a notch as she really gets into talking about how to do marketing, and that principles that she's pulled from you creating transformational authors, right? So keep your notebook ready and get to taking notes, okay? Get to taking notes. If you're driving, this might be the time to go ahead and pull over and get ready to start taking more notes. All right, let's get back to it.
So you transitioned from business being rapping into this thing. I'm going to be a business coach, or excuse me, a life coach. And then you get up here on stages and you're telling your story. That morphs into you becoming a book coach. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as you started getting more speaking engagement and telling more of your story, what are you doing in this process to start helping to find more of these more speaking engagements? Because that's one of the things that, you're talking to transformational authors, they're going to be speaking. So how have you found your book helps you to get more stages?
Well, you can really only attract who and what you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like a lot of my clients actually come from social media. So
Mm.
I did like a big push from social media.
Mm-hmm.
I attract people and like me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of like your story and your book is automatically going to attract certain types of people. I mean, Stripper to Striver is the name of my book. That's only going to attract a certain type of person, right?
Right. Okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So the people that I attract, they usually gone to prison.
Mm-hmm.
They've been sexually abused, they've been raped, they've been in domestic situations. One girl, she had been pimped for a long time. So those are the people that I attract. And
Mm.
it's so ironic because those are the people that are the most overlooked, but have the most powerful stories, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And
And a story
so
that needs to be heard by others.
and
Once
stories that
they're
need to be
coming, once
heard.
you starting to transition out of that lifestyle similar to yours,
Yeah.
like and myself when when I transition out of, like, I'm tired of using dope. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
dope fiend anymore. And I
Exactly.
looked for stories of people who had
Hmm.
made a transition successfully. So I love that you're doing that.
Right. And so I guess that's my ministry, because people are like, girl, that's a ministry. I'm like, yeah, so it's kind of taking people who may have never even seen themselves in that light,
Mhm,
but once they see me, they're like, oh my gosh, if you can do it, then I can do it. I used to be a prostitute and,
mhm,
I used to be a streetwalker and,
mhm.
but hey, if you can do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and it's so great because now they see themselves in a much bigger light than they had ever seen themselves before, because these are the people who've been thrown away by society,
Mhm, mhm,
and I have men in jail who DM me all the time. They're like, I'm still writing because of you, I'm still writing,
mhm.
and even though I'm not coaching them per se, I still do give them tips. They're still in prison right now. They're like, I'm behind these walls, but because I watch you, I don't know how they get these phones, but they get these phones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
know how to get them. You
Yeah,
don't.
I know, right? Yeah. So, but still, I'm like, how are you texting me? I mean, how are you DMing me? But anyway, so and it's just so ironic and just really, really great to be able to work with people who have never seen themselves larger than what people have told them, and people who have been thrown away by society. So I don't want to say I work with the misfits,
Right.
but I know what it's like to be a misfit. I know what it's like to be the stripper girl, and people were
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, she's a stripper, she do this or whatever, and people judge me. So for me to be able to transform my life and then to come back and help others transform theirs is it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into a little bit of your writing process. And the way I like to do this, because that way people got to go by, they got to come see your page to get your more stuff, which is loveandliveyourmessage.com. And go ahead and throw that plug in there right now. We'll come
Hmm.
back to that shortly. But let's get into something. I like to give one thing that someone can do today, this week, to get started on whatever in the area that you're going to help them, specifically books here. Um,
Hmm.
and then a long-term strategy. What can I do for the long term in order to, like, start leveraging and maybe using the book? So for today,
give us the family a tip today as they start getting started on trying to figure out what the story is, or they're going to write their first book? What would you suggest they start doing now?
Well, the first step that they need to take is to start with an outline. And so I have like people who come to me, I know we don't want to hear. And see, that's the thing, because you actually have to get into the dynamics of writing, right? The technical stuff. But, we learn how to write outlines in third or fourth grade. So we're going to have to go back and get that information back out and be like, oh my gosh, I used to hate this English teacher. She used to make us do these outlines. But that is a crucial part of the writing process, because your outline is basically your blueprint. And whenever you find yourself getting lost, you can always go back to the outline. And I have a actual powerful way to help authors create outlines very quickly and efficiently. I do. And by the time that I send them through the outline process, the book is already coming together. So the outline is very crucial. It's one of the biggest steps that most authors miss, and because I've had people come to me and be like, oh my gosh, I got part of my book on the computer. I got part of it in a notebook over here. Oh my gosh, I got to go to my grandma's house because I got my journal from when I was in 8th grade. I'm like, right? Yeah. So it keeps your book from being all over the place. That's why I say an outline is important, because you got books and notebooks from 8th grade over here, your mama's computer. You got to go in the attic and dig out her. So keep it all in one central place. The outline is the blueprint, and that will keep you on track.
Excellent. So give us the outline. I love it. I love having the outline. I call it by a different name. I call it a mind map. It's just because I don't like people who have this, outline, and they get the, I don't like writing.
That's actually the process that I use for the outline. Yeah. So mind mapping.
Okay, there you go. So now I want to, for your authors, for our listeners, of course, this outline. Do you believe this outline needs to be, how static, how concrete is this outline? Because I find that when I get to writing, I like, I'm gonna go this direction with this as the word starts taking me in a direction.
Well, no, first we start out with a complete brain dump, right? So we're just dumping information initially. And as you see it all out on paper, you'll start to figure out, okay, I want to keep this part, but I can X out this part. Or I can keep this and put it in with this, and this can create one whole chapter. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you're just kind of dumping it all out first, and then we go back through and we scratch out what we don't need. We put together, it's like putting together a puzzle. We put this part and this part and this part together, and that creates its own chapter, because you want it to all flow and make sense. So brain dumping. So no, initially you just can brain dump, put all the ideas out. It doesn't need to be concrete. No.
Excellent. Okay, so now we got the outline. We understand that there's a process of getting your ideas out of your head and then organizing them into this outline. So now you can work from that outline and pull all your journals or whatever you need to do needs to be on this outline. Okay, get all that stuff together, put on that outline. So what's a long-term strategy? What are we looking long-term, 3, 6, 9, a year from now with this book? What are your suggestions there as we continue moving forward? Because your book has been done for years now. What do you suggest long-term for the author? Now the book's published, what do we do now?
So even in the beginning phase, when I work with authors, I still have them do a book plan, which is a business plan for a book. So that's your long-term strategy. We figure out, okay, this is what's going to happen within the next 6 months. This is what's going to happen within the next 3 months. This is going to happen. This is our long-term goal. So we start at the end, and then we work our way backwards. So if you know that your long-term goal is to book more stages and to get more speaking engagements, then we're going to work backwards to make sure that you have everything in place, and that you release in a certain way, and that you structure your story in a certain way to where organizations would want to book you. Because being very clear on your book and your audience and where you want to go with the book determines how you write the book. And it determines the tone of the book. So say, for instance, my book was Stripper to Striver. It was an autobiography. I didn't really understand the stuff at that time, but I did know that I wanted to go and speak to shelters and women's groups and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the tone of the book is set to where I am a survivor and I'm not a victim, right? So
Yep.
when people read through the book, they're like, okay, even though she's been through a lot of stuff, I still consider her a survivor, and I can still bring her in to speak to my women's group or shelter to inspire people. And I tell people that the tone of your book is very important,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the long-term game, because it's going to determine as to who books you and how you get booked.
Bars! Like, yeah, that was like,
Bars!
you gotta, man, see, look, for real, that is
For
such a
real.
crucial point that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that's, okay, family, I'm trying to make this so I don't that go like too high level.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about what was just said here about the tone of the book, the words you're using, the way it makes a person feel,
Right.
that typically this is the type of information that you get quality editors. This is the type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff that quality editors hear, and they understand what they call these content editors, to see if everything's
Right.
flowing the same way and it's creating the same feel and it's doing what you want the book to do. So if you
Exactly.
don't have someone who understands ideas like this, you're at the wrong publisher, you're with the wrong book coach, wrong book publisher, whatever it is. You need to move
Mm-hmm.
away because they don't understand the finer points. Because as you said, you just wrote the first book. I kind of wrote the first book too, kind of a pull some stories out. Here's my story. Here's some other stories. And it was like, I'm going to get done. And I'm an author.
Yeah.
And I had an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get more stages to speak on too. And
Mm-hmm.
now since then, it's like, oh man, the book is written well, but it could have been written so much better.
Right. Which
Had
is
I
why I'm going to
known what to
re-release it.
do.
I took it off the market. Like once I started coaching other people and learning the skill, I took it off the market and I'm going to re-release it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, did y'all hear
Mm-hmm.
that? She slipped it in there. Even if you write the book one time, you can go
You
back.
can still re-release it. Oh yeah.
Re-release it. In fact, while you're saying that, I'm a Russell Brunson fan. I love
Okay.
the ideas of marketing that he puts out, and he just released his new book, Traffic Secrets, as of recording this. And this is not a plug for Traffic Secrets, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he also, when he wrote Traffic Secrets, he went back and he was moving his other books over to a new publisher, so they're all under one house. He reread his first book and was like, "Oh my God, I wrote so bad, just so badly I did."
Oh
He
wow.
scrapped, and it was a great book. I mean, it's a best-selling book. He sold tens of thousands of copies of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, this is so badly written. And he rewrote the book. Like he took out
Right.
2/3 of it, rewrote it. And then he took his second book and was like, I don't want to do this again, but I'm doing it again. And he scrapped like 2/3 of that one and rewrote
Mm-hmm.
it again because he's come so far in the 4 years
Yeah.
that he's done. Since he wrote that first book, and he's learned so much. He's
Mm-hmm.
re-releasing them all as a group set.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Just throwing it out there for you. You might like that one too for yourself. Tuck that one away. Um, I heard that. Oh wow! I know what that. Oh wow meant.
Right. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's a trick that people don't realize. You can always re-release a book, throw a new book cover on it, honey.
Or a new book
New
cover, or
edition.
new edition number 2,
Yeah.
revised for the 21st century.
Exactly.
You
And
know.
Yala Van Zant, she just re-released her book that she wrote 20
Oh
years ago, right?
yes, I went to see her
Yes.
speak out here in Indianapolis.
See?
Y'all, see, boom, boom, boom. All right, so let's go into this because I want to get your feedback on this presentation on the stage, and you're talking about your book because she, when I was on stage, y'all, and she's up there, she had the heels on at first and so forth, and then she got tired, she threw them heels off, like, I'm gonna have a conversation. And she took the
Yeah.
heels off. She was literally on stage just talking to a group of like 300 of us in the audience, something like that, having a conversation with us about her book, and would
Mm-hmm.
literally pick up her book and turn to a page that she had marked and read from her book. That's some
Mm.
powerful stuff. You know what everybody in that audience want to do, including me? I wanted to go get the book that she's reading.
Yeah. Reading from, right?
Oh, And it's her
Marketing
book.
without marketing. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, she re-released that
Ayanna is
25th
the
century. I think it was what 25 years, something like that. 20 years, 25.
exactly. She re-released it as a 25 anniversary book. Same
Mm-hmm.
freaking book.
Mm-hmm.
Like
New
she made a few
cover.
changes.
Yeah.
And now she's gonna make millions of dollars all over again with the same book. That's why I tell people books are so freaking powerful. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
Okay. So the one thing that I want to ask here, because we've been through, you've been so powerful, you've given so much information here, and I think I've closed all our loops.
Yay. Oh, I'm the loop girl now. I open up loops all over the place. Like, I'm telling you.
But you touched on this a little bit there. You said that a lot of your or all of your um, clients, customers
Hmm.
have come from social media. And
Hmm.
there is going to be a big push right now for a lot more people using social media, using the internet, being able to work from home type thing. So
Hmm.
being able to use your book and leverage social media is critical right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
would be your best book promotion tip? And I'm going to change the question here a little bit, specifically for you as it relates to social media.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask me something
That was
else.
it. What's your best book promotion tip, specifically using social media?
Okay, so we're going to go back to really identifying your audience, right?
Okay.
So you need to be clear as to who your audience is. And the reason why that is important is because when you are making posts and content, it has to resonate with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know a girl in specifically, she's a business coach, right? But
Mm-hmm.
she's not your typical business coach. Like, she's been to prison, she used to sell a lot of dope and stuff like that, right?
Yep. Yep.
And but she transformed her life. I mean, she was dating what's the guy's name, the big guy who had that big organization. Oh, I can't think of it, but anyway, but now she's a business coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she lays in her bed all day. She teaches people how to make money from their bed because she's just mastered the art of being able to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
the point that I'm making is people pay her $300 an hour for her coaching. Um, People buy all of her products, all of her webinars, and everything that she has to offer. She's created this huge movement,
Mm-hmm.
and she's not your typical business coach. You would never see her in a
Mm-hmm.
suit. You know what I mean? She wears blonde hair. She talks to the girls from the hood,
Mm-hmm.
and she does at least $1 million a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because she's identified her audience, she's able to do that. She's like, I don't have to speak on the stage. I ain't gotta put on a suit and be somebody I'm not. I'm a girl from the hood who used to sell dope. I used to strip. I've been to prison. I came out of prison, transformed my life. Now I'm helping other girls get money, right? I know how to get money.
Yes. But see, oh, there's so much
It's so
congruence.
gangster.
So much
It's so,
congruence in that.
that's right. And now she's opening up farms, weed farms with Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the
Mhm.
rapper.
Yeah.
Rick Ross. Okay.
To make sure it's
Gangsta.
not
Girl
the
is
rapper.
gangsta. Okay. All the way. And she's like, but she knows business like no other. You understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But
Yeah.
she knows her audience. And she knows these girls are girls from the hood, girls who may be strippers, girls who know how to hustle, but may not necessarily have the business sense, because hustling and business are two different things. That's another story. But they're two different things, right? So even me, I was a girl, I was a hustler, right? I know how to
Yeah, I'm
hustle, I
about
know
to
how
say
to
you
get
can't
money,
leave that
but
one open. I was coming back to it. Mm-hmm.
right, like I'm a hustler, natural hustler, right? But in order to run a business, hustling is only going to get you so far.
Mm-hmm.
So what she's done, she's aligned herself with powerful people. Like she hangs out with top notch attorneys and lawmakers and people like that, even though she a girl who was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Like she worked, she's able to sit down with mayors and people like that. Like she's put herself in positions to where she's helping to change laws to do things for girls who were like her, right? So
Mm.
the point that I'm making is it's all about knowing your audience. She knows good and well she can't come on social media in a suit and expect for her girls to be like, hey, they're gonna be like, what's up with the suit?
Interesting.
So even with your book, right? It's very important that you remain true to who you are. it's very important that you remain true to the story of the book. So you need to release content that's congruent to the story. So when I was releasing Stripper to Striver, I used quotes from my book, right? And I put them in social media posts. And then I would show before and after pictures. I would show pictures of me on the cover of men's magazines and then show me in a suit, right?
Yeah.
Like, so people could see the before and after. I would show them, you know, when I used to do videos and when I used to hang out with rappers and all that stuff, I would show them those pictures and then I would show them the new me. So people were actually able to see with their own eyes the actual transformation and what the book was about. So that's what social media is about. It's about being able to, especially if you use the Instagram, because that's what I use, Instagram.
The gram.
You have to be able, you have to be able to show the visuals. And I don't get on Facebook all that much, but I do know that Facebook groups are very powerful. So if you're on Facebook, I would suggest definitely, I always tell my authors to have their own author page, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And their fan page, right? And so from there, you start getting people to like the page, and then you start getting people into a group, create a group, put the people in that group, because those are the people who are going to be connected to you the most. And then you're able to take them away off social media and kind of build that relationship. And then you also want to have your free download. So you may say, okay, you can download a free chapter, or you can download something, whatever you want to give them, you know, give away to them. And then you start creating your email list as well. And you connect with people through the email list. So it's so many different ways, but that's the way that I did it. I didn't necessarily do a whole lot of in-person stuff. I definitely use social media to build my audience.
Excellent. Love that, y'all. Love it. Love it. Love it. Take some notes. Go back, re-listen to what was said there. The importance of being, okay, we're hearing the word thrown around. We heard the word thrown around, being authentic, but it's true. And it's, you know, it's a high level marketing word to say authentic. The base meaning of that is be yourself, with not yourself, be yourself.
So if you want to come on with no hair in, no makeup on, your wig off, listen, people, they relate to that. They're like, oh, you know what? That's me. That's how I look at night. You know, when I come in the house, I take my wig off too, sis.
Yeah, right? I remember my coach, that reminded me, the wig thing reminded me, my coach, she has, I think it's called alopecia.
Okay.
She had, she puts no hair on her hair now. She's rocking out with the straight B head. She's cool with it. Love it. Love her. Beautiful file.
Wow.
Beautiful face. But she said it happened because one time she was on live stream and she thought she had cut off.
What you're talking about.
Yeah.
Danielle Winningham.
That's my coach.
I coach with her too. Danielle is the bomb, baby. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
I was there when she did that. That was 2016 when she used to be on Periscope.
Yes, Periscope.
She is the woman that pulled me out of depression. I used to go on Periscope every day to listen to her, and because I had my accident in 2015, I found her in 2016, and she is the woman that actually pushed me to write the freaking book. Ironically,
awesome. She's also one of the ones that helped me to say keep doing this stuff in 2017. Yes. So I met her the year after you met her.
Wow. And my business coach actually coaches under her. I don't know, Candace Holyfield. I was working with her.
Yep.
She does spa. So yeah, she's my coach too. So it's like, I don't know. She keeps coming back up. So maybe that's a sign.
Yeah, I can't. She's still coach. I call her coach. Doesn't matter every time I see her. But that's
awesome.
Love that. See, there's another connection. Didn't even know.
Yeah.
Right,
see.
Let's wrap up this episode. We're gonna get into some of the fun questions here. And you have to give you opportunity to get some things you want some people to see on your website. So we're gonna definitely end with that. But before we get there, some fun questions. First one is, what do you do on your days off that most people don't know about?
Oh my gosh, I do absolutely nothing. I try to. You know, I mean, I
hear that so much from moms.
Years. Yeah, I was the turn up queen for years. I grew up in clubs, you know, so it's just like taking me to the club. It's like, what do you mean? That was my job. That's not. That's not hanging out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I can just do nothing, like really Netflix and chill, that is heaven at this point in my life. And that's just what it is, you know. But I also like to travel as well.
Yeah.
So if I can get to travel, but yeah, on my days off, if I can just do, you know, the least amount of anything, that's heaven for me.
Eat some popcorn and be chill.
Yeah, order in, not cook, like literally nothing. Like
Love it, love it. No, I get it.
tell these kids get out my face, and yes.
I love it. All right. So tell us what's your favorite book, and of course we're coming behind your books. And if you need to do 2 or 3, that's fine. Definitely.
Well, my favorite books right now are the Badass series. I don't know if you're familiar with those. You Are a Badass.
Oh yeah, Jen Sincero. Love me some Jen
Sincero,
Sincero.
yes,
I
yes.
don't know if
So
I'm saying
right
her name
now,
right, but yeah, yes, I know who you're talking
yeah, I think it's
about.
Jen Sincero. So, You Are a Badass at Making Money, and You
Hmm.
Are a Badass How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Like those are two of my favorite books at this point.
Yeah, I see, because she goes on there, Jen goes on there, and we talk about being authentic too. She's on there saying
Yeah.
exactly like it's almost like it feels like you're talking to your auntie or something. Like she's just having a girl, sit
Mm.
down, let me just talk to you about this stuff and how all this stuff works together, and stop playing games with your life. And then she gets to talking about money. Yeah, I love the way she does it. How she organizes her word. Y'all, if y'all wanting to understand authenticity in your writing, that is a great book to check out. Both her
Oh
books, You Are
yeah.
Badass and You Are Badass at Making Money. Hell, she says badass in there in
Exactly.
the
In her
title.
title. So you clearly know she's authentic, right?
Absolutely. All right, so give us your favorite quote. And I understand it might be scripture. I have no problem with scripture.
My favorite quote. I don't necessarily know if it's a quote or a statement,
Hmm.
but I don't even know who said it. But oh gosh, I have so many. Let me narrow it down.
Hmm.
That the richest place in the world is not oil fields
Hmm.
or diamond mines, but the cemetery.
Hmm.
I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, that is so true. Like, if you were to go to the cemetery and think of how many people died with books in them, how many people died with businesses in them, how many people died with ideas, right?
Hmm.
Like, it would completely blow your mind as to how many people go to their grave without walking out their full purpose. And
Hmm.
so that it spoke volumes to me, especially in that situation, you know, coming out of that truck accident. It like hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like, right, I don't want to be one of those people. When I go to the grave, even if I failed at some stuff, I want to at least be able to say I did it. I don't want to have to regret anything, you know? And so that's my word to you. I don't know if you get ready to go into the word, but that's just what I feel like, whatever it is, because even if you quotation mark fail at it, it's
Hmm.
not failing, it's just a learning lesson, right? You're just
Hmm.
learning what to do, what not to do, and how to do it better. So that's definitely one of my favorite quotes.
Love it, love it. And while you in that moment, while you in that vibe, go ahead and share with us what is the message, the story that you must share with the world, that you must share with the world.
The story that I must share with the world is that another great quote, that life doesn't happen to you, but happens for you. And when I look over my life and I think about, you know, when I was that little girl and I was being sexually abused, and when I went into adult entertainment at 15 and was working in clubs and then had gone off to start doing men's magazines and doing all the stuff I had done in my life, I realize is now that it sets me up and sets me apart so much from other people, especially even if someone else is doing the same thing that I'm doing. You know, a million people can do what you do, but nobody else has your story,
Mhm.
right? And so even when I'm working with authors, like I said, I attract a certain type of author because I am a certain type of person.
Mhm.
And so because these people, they're just attracted to me, they're attracted to my story, they're attracted to my journey, and they're attracted to my transformation.
Mhm.
And that's what I want people to really focus on more. When I released my book, I really thought that people were going to judge me. I really thought that people were going to look down on me. But I just felt God saying, you know what, it's just something that needs to be heard. And what I realized was that people were much more interested in the end than they were the beginning.
Say that.
They were much more interested in the woman that I am now than they were the woman I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And, you know, just doing the work, they're like, you know what, I can relate so much to that. Even if it's not the same exact story, I can still relate to feeling hopeless. I can still relate to feeling helpless. And I can still relate to feeling not worthy. Mm-hmm. So that's when we go back to the theme, right? You know, that's a little trick or whatever. But, you know, just going back to the theme of your story and who you are and how it resonates with other people.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you for closing out strong there. Wrapping everything up with a nice little bow. Appreciate that. So now go ahead and tell the family what's next for you and then how they can connect with you.
So what's next for me is definitely helping more people write and publish their books. I'm releasing an online course so that I can help more people and, you know, do it at a bigger level. Mm-hmm. And so also re-releasing the book later on, but, you know, I turned the book into a documentary.
Yes. So, we didn't even talk about the
documentary. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the documentary, I'm now putting it into film festivals, and, you know, I'm not saying a lot about it because I'm still in the film festival phase. Mm-hmm. And if anybody knows anything about television, film and stuff like that, it's certain phases that you go through depending on your end game, depending on what it is that you're trying to do. Absolutely. So that would definitely be coming out, probably screenings throughout the country. And that's what I'm looking to do, like really, really take my story, help more people write and publish their books, and really get my story out in different formats and take it to the masses.
Excellent. How can the family connect with you?
So please go to loveandliveyourmessage.com. There you can go on and you can actually get my free ebook. You can go on there, go into free stuff, and then you can download the free ebook. Mm-hmm. And you can follow me on Instagram at I am Shannon Anderson, and Facebook at I am Shannon Anderson as well, and on Twitter at author Shannon A.
Absolutely. Love it. Appreciate you. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your story, sharing those nuggets, sharing those bars with the family on not only how to live their life in a transformation, but how to become better authors in the process.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You've just listened to episode number 34 of the Wealthy Author Podcast with your host, D. Orlando Fortune. I want to give thanks to our creator, and I will also offer you the opportunity to and get your questions answered. So please, if you have any questions or comments about today's show or any other show or just about self-publishing in general, email them to fortune@thoughtfortunepress.com. That comes to me, okay? fortune@thoughtfortunepress.com. And don't forget to reserve your seat for the free training at thoughtfortunepress.com/mini class. And that's where I'll teach you how to avoid the 9 mistakes beginning authors make and how to write money-making branded books without being a great writer or wasting your time waiting for a publishing deal. So save your virtual seat at thoughtfortunepress.com/mini class, MINICLASS. And if you like the show, do us a favor, share, like, and join. Take a screenshot and share the episode with the hashtag Wealthy Author Podcast. And then show us how much you like us by giving us 5 stars and a review on iTunes. Finally, join us every week by subscribing to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. And I want to say this right now, we'll be coming out with an updated version of
my best-selling book on how to write your first book in less than 4 hours. We have changed the title to the 4-Hour Book. That book is launching coming up here in next week. So be prepared for some special promotions for my listeners. So you can get that book at a discount or maybe some potential extra bonuses. You'll find out next week when we come out with another episode 35 of the Wealthy Author Podcast. For now, rest assured that yes, you can be, you can do, you can have anything you want in this world. You just gotta believe. You can live a life of no doubt, just blessings. And I will show you how. And for all my No Doubt Nation out there, you know the mantra. Say it loudly and do it proudly and make life happen every day. God bless, and always remember, you're only one book away. Until then, family.